as much as what Rotary accomplishes. And if you've got big projects and stuff, you know, you need to have weekly meetings to keep everybody on the same page and make sure that they're doing their job, the committees, you know, are meeting and things like that. So that's, I think, why it's important. If you're not making the Rotary meetings, you know, you're not involved, and you maybe don't, you're not gonna be participating as you should.
Any other questions on Rotary? I know some of you had some about various levels of Rotary, whether it's his personal service or service in general, or anyone want to, you have questions on Rotary, or you want to, is it on something else?
Kind of Rotary. Can you identify some opportunities and long-range goals in Slinger that are sustainable for the Rotary?
Oh, I think as long as the community grows, there's always going to be a need for things that Rotary can do. You know, long range, we never know from year to year what the project's going to be. There might be something that the school district comes up with, and they'll say, well, we need this for our, we donated a lot to the industrial, what do you call it, industrial arts program, or tech ed. Things like that, you know, we might purchase a piece of equipment. I think the bigger story is that as your community evolves, there's things that you have to sit back and take another look at your community. Our big tax increment district is closing this year, which I had mentioned. Well, now we have the opportunity to start another one. And there's rules that we have to follow that are set by the state. And then there's things that we should do is planning. In April, we've decided to have a visioning process that's going to include members of the community. And we want to look at the old downtown, what is called the center of the village. Now, over the years, businesses have migrated out, and they'd rather be out on Highway 60 or in the shopping center. And that the old part of town really, even though there's business buildings there, I don't know if they're functioning as they should. So we really got to take a look at that area and say, well, what do we want that future to be? And is it practical to be a business area, or is it time for it to be redeveloped to something else? I don't know. You know, I might have my vision, but the community has to be involved in saying, well, this is what we'd like to see happen. And so, you know, government can dictate all sorts of things, but it's good to have the citizens of the community buy into, you know, what this community is going to be.
We look at census. You will look at census numbers. 1990 to 2000, Slinger and Jackson were the fastest growing communities in Washington County, and so with that, new people, new ideas, and I think they're always looking at ways to try to stay in touch with community norms and values. Do you guys have anything else with Rotary, or and we got about 7 minutes, so I want to make sure you get your questions in. Rotary, it could be anything long term as well. I know Mr. Nauman had a question possibly or two. Yes, Brett?
Why is service to the community important to you?
I think I said this to Mr. Grimm when I was in it. You probably heard this before, is that I think that you've got, and I didn't invent this, but I think you've got the decision to make in your lives, whether you're going to be makers or whether you're going to be takers. And I'd rather be a maker. One of the reasons I decided to go into business. I like to produce things, but it has to do with your service too. I'd rather make life better for people. And I'd rather be the person that is giving the service and making things better. Now, it's so much easier to sit back and let everybody do it for you. But if everybody just sits back, nothing's going to get done. Society collapses. So I encourage you all to get involved. I said, one of my toughest jobs of village president is finding people to serve on committees. And you know, it's always a struggle. I got to do this every year starting about this time because our committee appointments are all done in April and early May. And, you know, I have people that have served in village committees, you know, for 20, maybe 30 years. But it's time for, you know, some of these people have done their service, and they don't, you know, they don't want to continue anymore. You know, they might be retiring to Florida or Arizona. But, you know, it's important that when you move on, whether you live in Slinger or whether you live in New York or wherever, you know, that you avail yourself to service somehow, you know, either through, you know, committees of the village or city or you know, through the school systems and stuff like that. You know, make yourself a maker.
So we're talking about succession, you know, we've looked at it, whether it be in manufacturing or in schools, hiring, that legacy of 40 years of service, replacing, you know, with people that are hungry like you. I guess, what's been most rewarding in Rotary? You've done it for 40 years, it's the 50th anniversary of Rotary in this area. Is there something that stands out as most rewarding to you?
Well, really, every year has been rewarding. I love all of the projects that we've done. I wish that there's a project that and I don't have time for that right now with running a business and running the village and things like that. But the Hartford Rotary Club has done a couple projects down in Central America where they've gone into a small village that had contaminated water, and they put in a water system, built a water tower, and set up the system and educated the people on how to run safe water through their, you know, that you don't have cross connections and things like that, you know, and how to use the system to add chlorine, and you know, what the importance of doing that is. And that would be a great thing to participate in on the ground level. Another member, and he lives here, and Mr. Woldrink lives here in Slinger, is a member of the Hartford Rotary Club. He has been going to Haiti and rehabilitating wells that the Rotary Club had built. We had funded some wells in Haiti, and Hartford did a couple other many years ago. But through some earthquakes and things like that, these wells aren't producing anymore. After they had the great earthquake in Haiti a couple years ago, there was some international workers and things like that, and through their encampment and whatnot, they had contaminated a river, and there was an outbreak of cholera. So, you know, it's very important to bring clean water to people. And so that's one of the things, is we want to rehabilitate these wells and get that, you know, it's one of the poorest countries in the world, and it's really only a few hundred miles from the tip of Florida.
We have time for one more question if you have it. Could be anything. I know we have a student council rep here who might want to ask a question. Mike, you have one, or?
Sure. What similarities does your Rotary role have with your role as village president?
Well, the similarity would be that you're both serving the community. The village president, you know, I don't per se administer the village like Mr. Sievers does the school. We have a village administrator. They take the orders of the village board and make the laws work. Some of the things that we deal with at the village are pretty interesting. Like, I'm sure you heard the story of this guy that's got the 105 snakes in his unit. Well, we've got an ordinance, but it doesn't regulate how many. So now we've got to look at this ordinance and say, well, we don't want to stomp on people's rights. I got a call from the president of the Reptiles Association for America. They've got 5 million members. So all of a sudden, you know, they don't want you passing something that's going to take away their rights to own reptiles.
Any
That's
final
interesting.
tips? These guys are going to go out in the community. We're going to probably go to names. We're going to go to breweries. We're going to go to mid-state. We're going to look at agriculture and foodways. Any final tips for when they go out in the community?